Welcome as we enter into this holiday season, a time of nostalgia, a time of tradition, a time of memory. It is commonly understood and known as the most wonderful time of the year. And while it is that for many of us, there's also a challenging side for the individuals that are walking through it for the first time after the loss of a loved one. The holidays can bring with it its own difficulties. For individuals that have to deal with chronic conditions such as anxiety, depression, or mental illness can also be a challenging time. The National Alliance on Mental Illness did a study that indicated that 64% of people who have a condition see their symptoms worsen during the holiday season. I'm Pastor Chris Burish from Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, and welcome to this month's edition of Community Bridge, wherein we're looking at the holidays and all the ways that while it can be life-giving, it can also bring with it some challenges, and to provide you with some tips and tools for caring not only for yourself, but for others that you love and care for. As we dive into this holiday season, here are a few things that you can do in order to help you navigate the anxiety, the challenges, and the difficulties of this time of year that is so filled with many things. The first piece of advice to give is to be self-aware. The holidays are going to trigger lots of things. These triggers are external stimuli that bring about powerful emotional feelings. And we don't have control over them. They can come at an instant. However, when we're self-aware of what's going on inside of us, what happens is it allows us to regain agency. It allows us to regain control and to not spiral down out of control, to not be taken to a place that is unhealthy or is life-draining, but instead to recognize what's happening and to choose to step out of it that we might know life. Another thing that's very important during these holiday seasons is to take care of yourself. This means drinking plenty of water, getting a good amount of rest, making sure that you're eating healthy foods, exercising. Another good practice during the holidays is to actually take up journaling, to write down what you've done during the day so that way you can identify habits that are both good as well as some that might be detrimental and causing challenge. Another great way of practicing self-care is to connect with people that are life-giving. Connect with people that you can talk to. Connect with people that after you have an experience with them, you're filled with joy, you're filled with hope, you're filled with just energy. Engage those people. Make sure you spend time with them. The holidays will also inevitably put us into close contact with people that might rub us the wrong way, might be difficult or challenging. And in those situations, make sure to establish healthy boundaries. That might sound bad as if you're pushing people away, but what you're really doing is creating space so that that relationship stays healthy and doesn't spiral into a toxic situation. Establishing healthy boundaries is really a practice in self-care that we all need to have. And another thing about this is that we need to practice grace with one another. Even the most steady, well-adjusted individual can get stressed out and can get pushed to the edge during all the hustle and bustle of the holidays. As we strive to live it in a perfect way and to make sure that everything is pristine and proper, we need to recall that we're not called to be perfect. None of us can be. And we need to extend ourselves grace and likewise extend grace to others. We can continue to this cycle of you've hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you, or you were mean to me, so I'm going to hurt you, or I'm going to pass that on. But when we practice grace with each other, we interrupt that cycle and we create an opportunity for the season to be all the more joy-filled. Lastly, I'd invite you to practice generosity. And I'm not telling you here to go out and spend a bunch of money. Oftentimes during the holidays, money becomes a big issue. But generosity comes in all different types of ways. We can share generously of our talents. We can share generously of our skill. We can share generously of our time in volunteering. All of these things are incredible ways to participate and recognize your value in the community of your family, in your greater community of your neighborhood, because we all have something to offer. And as we give of ourselves generously, not by worldly standards, but instead by the standards of care, of compassion, of love, we recognize that we all play a valuable part, including you. Now, maybe the holidays aren't as hard on you as they are on somebody that you know and that you love and that you care about, especially an individual who has struggled with anxiety, depression, or another mental illness. There are some tools and ways in which you can help them as they navigate this challenging holiday season. The first is be a friend. And being a friend means that we're there and expressing care without judgment. We're reaching out to them for the sake of letting them know that we care about them, that we want to know more about them, that we want them to be well. Studies have shown that reaching out emphatically and making sure that they know that we care about them is far more significant and impactful than reaching out with the right advice, reaching out with a tool that they can use, reaching out with some guidance. Instead, listening to someone and valuing them does a world of good and can be incredibly valuable. Another thing to do is that we want to make sure that in helping others, we don't take away their agency. We don't take away their decision making unless it gets to a point where they're a danger for themselves or others. We don't see eye to eye with people all the time. We've got free will and we all practice it in the way in which we see fit. However, what we want to do is walk alongside and communicate care with others. Instead of coming alongside and telling them, hey, you need to do this, you need to adjust this, this is wrong. Instead, practice something like, hey, I love you and I care about you. And it seems like you're stressed. It seems like there's something that's holding you back. It seems like there's something that's depriving you from life. And I want you to get the care that you need so that you're not suffering in a way that's inappropriate, so that you're not having to undergo a struggle in a manner that's not necessary. Because when you reach out in that way, where you're communicating is that I care about you, I love you, and I'm here to walk alongside you. Again, there's one other piece of advice that we heard earlier, and that is to practice grace. People aren't always going to get along, and those that are closest to us really have the ability to do the most damage and hurt to us. And that's true. And we can either continue that cycle of they hurt us, we hurt them, or we can step out of it and interrupt it by practicing grace, by recognizing that, hey, I understand you're going through a hard time, and instead of holding your feet to the fire, instead of passing judgment, I'm just going to be there with you. I'm going to say, you know what? I'm sorry, and let's move on. Practicing grace can do a world of good. Imagine what our world would be like if we all practiced grace a little bit more. And lastly, when it comes to helping others, recognize when the help they need extends beyond what you can provide. Now, it's hard for us to be humble enough to say, hey, I don't know, or hey, let me look out and see if I can find another resource for you, to feel as if we're not adequate for helping. But there are situations where those that we care for need help beyond what we can provide. But what we can do is we can connect them to that help, and we can advocate for them in the midst of that help. Recognize and know that there are times when getting a hold of a general practitioner is the best thing to do. To reach out knowing that they've got access to resources or other opportunities to provide the help and care that you're searching for the sake of your loved one. Ask for a level of care assessment so that you can find out what is the best way for them to be cared for. There are all other types of resources in our community. In fact, I've got a long list of them. We've got Pathlights, which helps with our senior community. There's Al-Anon, Alcoholics Anonymous, and Narcotics Anonymous, which help with individuals who have struggled with substance abuse. There's Lutheran Social Services of Illinois that is the largest social service provider in the whole state that take care of an abundance of needs in our community. Beds Plus helps those, especially those that are on the margins of being homeless or home insecure. We have the Palos Behavioral Outpatient Center, the Grand Prairie Services, and Silver Oaks Behavioral Hospital. All of these are resources in our general area to provide care for those in need. And what an amazing thing it is that we have so many resources in close proximity to us, waiting there to help. And then there's also the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline, which was recently established. If you go to your phone and just dial 988, you'll get in touch with somebody that can help you if you or a loved one are in the midst of a crisis. All of these resources are here to help us live more fully and navigate the challenges not only that the holidays bring, but then life brings. Now, I hope your holidays are filled with joy. And I hope that you're able to be part of ensuring that that joy extends to those that maybe are having a difficult time during those holiday seasons, to those that you encounter who may be struggling. I hope this time has been helpful for you. I want to thank Todd Bergman for his help in assisting and providing some of the resources shared today. And until next time, I hope that you have an amazing holiday season, and God bless.